Hi, dear audience. I'm back. The man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others. Well, today I'm here to talk about the great poet Subramanya Bharati and his poem Wind. I've chosen this poem because the fire in Bharatiyar's poem creates a zest in the reader to develop confidence and the strength we need to possess to make our life fruitful even during adversities. Before we pitch into the poem, let me tell you about this great poet. Chinnaswamy Subramanya Bharati, also known as Bharatiyar, was a Tamil writer, poet, journalist, Indian independence activist, a social reformer, and a polyglot, a person skilled in many languages. Mahakavi Bharatiyar was born on 11th December 1882 and he passed away on 11th September 1921. The greatest Tamil literary figure of all times wrote fiery songs which kindled patriotism during Indian independence movement. Bharati's influence on Tamil literature is astonishing. Nevertheless, the great poet was proficient in around 14 languages. His favorite language was Tamil. His literary works covered political, social, and spiritual themes. The songs and poems which were composed by Bharati are very often used in Tamil cinema. He is considered as one of the pioneers of modern Tamil literature, and it was he who paved the way for modern blank verse. Most interesting thing to note is Mahakavi Bharatiyar used simple words and rhythms in Tamil which appealed every common man. Now let's listen to the poem Wind written by Subramanya Bharati and translated by A.K. Ramanujan. Wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You're very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. He won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. Do this, and the wind will be friends with you. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. Sometimes we go through really tough times. It is those times when everything we do ends up in failure, and it seems like our life is going downhill, which makes us feel quite miserable. Through this poem Wind, the great poet Bharatiyar tells us that in such challenging situations, maintaining a good mindset is probably the most important thing we can do. It will allow us to stay cheerful, avoid pointless sorrows, persist through the hardship, and find smart solutions and eventually turn the situation around. At the start of the poem, the poet has a conversation with the wind. He requests the wind to come softly, just like a child, because if the wind is forceful, it causes a lot of destruction. The poet asks the wind not to break the shutters of the windows or fly down the books which are on the shelf with its sister. In these lines, the poet criticizes the wind and asks the wind to look at the destruction it has caused. The poet says the wind, with his strong power, has thrown away the books and torn its pages. The poet compares the strong wind with a youth full of energy, violence, and destruction, and states that the strong wind finds pleasure in making fun at the weak. The message the poet gives us here is if we are weak, we will be easily defeated by the strong people, who in turn will find pleasure in causing harm to us. In these lines, the poet repeats the word crumbling plenty times to lay stress that all the things such as houses, doors, beams, timbers, and the living beings that are weak gets smashed against the strong wind. The poet cites that the weak easily falls prey to the adversities. He breaks down and falls. The poet addresses the wind as the wind god and cites the example of a farmer who winnows to separate the grain from the chaff. He says that the powerful god of wind inspects the people, and all those who are fragile fall down and get crushed. In these lines, the poet recommends the reader to make friendship with the wind, which symbolizes the adversity. He asks the reader to be prepared to face the challenges during adversities. For this, the poet says, we should build strong homes and close the doors firmly to avoid destruction. In order to beat the adversities, we should train ourselves to be stable and determined. Once we strengthen ourselves, the troubles that we encounter will no more bother us. In these lines, the poet says that the strong wind blows out the weak, but if we strengthen ourselves, both physically and mentally, the adversities that we face in our life will only make us prosperous. Difficulties in our life is worthy, so let us not feel depressed over the hardships that we encounter every day. Instead, let us learn to appreciate the routine challenges and lead a happy life. Now, let's discuss the literary devices that are used in the poem. First, we'll be talking about the rhyme scheme that is used. Here, the whole poem is in free verse. Free verse is a poetry that does not rhyme or have a regular meter. Later, we'll be talking about anaphora. Anaphora is deliberate repetition of the first part of the sentences in order to achieve an artistic effect. After that, we'll be talking about personification. Personification is attributing human characteristics to an inanimate object, animal, or abstract ideas. Later, we'll be talking about the repetition. Repetition is nothing but a literary device that repeats the same words or phrases a few times to make an idea clearer and more memorable. Finally, we'll be talking about alliteration and symbolism. Alliteration is use of the same consonant sound at the beginning of each word, and symbolism, it is a practice or art of using an object or a word to represent an abstract idea. Now let us discuss the literary devices used in the poem. As I said earlier, the entire poem is written in free verse. There is no rhyme scheme in the poem. You can see at the end of each line the words softly, windows, papers, shelf. They do not rhyme with each other. Hence, the whole poem is written in free verse. Now, just check out the second line, third line, and fourth line. They begin with don't. Similarly, lines 6, 7, and 8, they begin with you. The words are repeated at the start of the consecutive lines. These are anaphora. Next, the wind has been personified as human being. You can just see here, you did, you threw, you are very clever, he won't. It is as if the poet is talking to the human being. So hence all these make it clear that the wind is personified as human being. Now let's check the repetition that is used in the poem. In these lines, crumbling is being repeated plenty times. It is repeated plenty times to lay emphasis. Here the poet wants to stress that the wind crushes everything that is fragile. So he repeats the word crumbling plenty times. Later we'll come to alliteration. In these lines you can see wind, we know, won't, what. These are the initial consonant sounds that are repeated. V, 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 v. So these are the alliterations. Finally, let us see the symbolism. In this poem, the wind is symbolized or represented as hurdles or the challenges in the life. Okay, dear audience, I hope you would have enjoyed today's video. Do subscribe the channel, like and comment about the video, share with your friends and everyone you know. Thank you.